Will. I want to thank Kyle Quinn and my man Tyre Temple Pride right there. Good work out of you boys. Hey, Happy New Year to you guys, to everybody who called, everybody who listened, everybody who's called.
What's up, everybody? New Year's Eve. You know what I mean? Wish everybody everyone who's into practicing a Happy New Year and acknowledging it. I mean, it's just a new year. Wish everybody that. You know what I mean? Wish you well going forward. We're going to talk about little Eagles here. You know, before, see, I got the Sixers on, I done moved on. But there's a few things that need to be, addressed and made very clear regarding this team moving forward. There's been a lot of talk about Doug Peterson, Howie Roseman, whether or not Doug Peterson should continue to be the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. There's been some people giving their opinion on some of the statements Doug Peterson had recently just put out during the interviews with the media. And Doug said, when asked, about whether or not he expects to come back, he said he fully expects to come back as the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. He acts like the thought that even came to his mind he could be fired, right? And then there's a lot of people jumping on him about that who think it's ridiculous. These people I've heard who do these blogs like what I'm doing right here, as well as some of these guys on the radio and some of the guys on TV acting like, Doug Peterson should fear that he would lose his job. And I'm kind of like what Doug is. I think all of that is ridiculous, that he should be losing his job. If Doug was to be fired, that would be one of the most unprecedented types of firings that I can see in recent times or recent memory. The only way Doug Peterson would be fired by Jeffrey Lurie is if there was like some personal dislike between them. Like if Jeffrey Lurie just didn't like Doug. Like, I don't like him as a person, they had an argument or something like that, something drastic. Because when we look at the resume, 5 years, got to the playoffs 3 years, won a Super Bowl. Those types of people with those types of resumes don't just get fired. And also, owners, they know what actually kind of went on because they're there. They get reported to, all of that kind of stuff. So some of the other explanations that people give with Doug, they believe, well, Frank Reich and DeFilippo were the reason that Doug Peterson succeeded that year in 2017. That kind of stuff cracked me up. Okay. Well, you do know, though Frank Reich was here, and yes, Frank Reich does run a system, which is, they call a number system. He brought in some of the concepts from Buffalo that he played under Mark Levy behind Jim Kelly, back in the 90s when he was a backup. He brought some of those concepts. Doug Peterson also brought many of the West Coast concepts, which is different language, right? So what we had in 2017 was somewhat of a forging together of these two ways, right? However, it isn't like Doug Peterson would be completely unfamiliar with that type of system as well after Doug left. So the plays they made and manufactured and everything, I'm sure Doug would still have those plays, number one. Number two, no one knows exactly what Frank Reich did in 2017. I say this all the time. He wasn't the play caller, so you can't use, Doug was, he's this sucky, horrible play caller now, but he was just great in 2017 because of Frank Reich. Frank Reich wasn't calling the plays. Doug was calling the plays. When we talk about Carson, like how will he do under a different coach and all this kind of stuff? Can he get him back? Well, the one who got him where he was, that happened under Doug Peterson. Is the only guy we know he coached under, with the exception of the North Dakota State coach. So are you sure? Like whoever, if you were to fire Doug, which would be ridiculous, are you sure that the next guy coming in would just be better? Really? Eric Bieniemy, you think so? Why? Because, well, he's under Andy Reid with the Chiefs. Well, you know who else was under Andy Reid with the Chiefs? Doug Peterson. You know who's the guy that recommended Doug Peterson? Andy Reid. Okay, so you'll be going right back to the same well if you brought in Eric Bieniemy. Right? And then Andy Reid, is he this great superior play caller? Like, I mean, we had Andy Reid for 14 years, and I don't ever remember believing he was just this crazy superior play caller. Is he a good quarterback whisperer? Probably. I mean, he did a good job with Donovan McNabb. Patrick Mahomes, I'm not going to totally take credit away from him. I just think Mahomes would be great anyway, wherever he is. But, I'm not going to take credit away from Andy Reid, for that. But really, when he was here for 14 years, us Philly fans, there were a lot of things by Andy Reid we didn't like. He didn't run the ball enough. He did not bring in great wide receivers until Terrell Owens, right? And by then, we had already lost three championship games, NFC championship games. So, Andy Reid all of a sudden becomes Don Coryell or Bill Walsh in the minds of people now, which blows my mind. But at any rate, so the idea now is let's bring people from Andy Reid, to help us, which kind of is like going backwards to me. But anyway, we got Doug. Okay, so people are saying get rid of Doug and just bring in Eric Bieniemy. Like, why would he be way different? And why would Eric Bieniemy be a better choice to say Deuce Staley, who's here? Deuce Staley was a better running back than Eric Bieniemy. He also was under Andy Reid, right, and everything. Like, I just don't understand. Like, people just want to change just for the sake of change. I'm not into that. And then number two, like, you don't win the Super Bowl, get to the playoffs 2 years after that, and just after one bad season, you get. And I don't want to hear that it was just this constant regression, right? You know what my problem with the constant regression argument is that it's stupid, okay? It's stupid because it doesn't factor in everything, right? People like to not deal with the issue of injury. This is a big thing I'm seeing here. People want to. Let me tell you something about the injury thing here. Injuries are something that, of course, football teams have to prepare for, have to be ready for, right? And that's why you have depth. You have backups that are pretty good and all of that. All right. But what you can't do here is this. Make this argument that the Eagles never tried to help Carson Wentz out when everybody that they're getting gets hurt, right? Now, let's just go back for a second here. Carson Wentz has that rookie year where he has nobody. He has as his wide receivers, Jordan Matthews, Nelson Aguilar, and we picked up Dorial Green Beckham, right? So he legit had nothing but Zach Ertz and Ryan Matthews is running back. Okay, that was the rookie year. I thought Carson did well as rookie year. 2017, the best wide receiver in free agency that year was Alshon Jeffrey, and Alshon Jeffrey was a guy that we saw firsthand in week 2 when the Eagles played the Bears, and he was killing our wide receivers. So I get why we went after Alshon Jeffrey. During that postseason, I remember listening to WIP specifically and everything, and I can't tell you how many people wanted Alshon Jeffrey because he was the best free agent guy available. Then we also signed Torrey Smith to have the formula of the speed guy and the possession guy. Grabbed LeGarrette Blount, beginning of the year, which turned out to be a great move. And we also grabbed Jay Ajayi in the middle of the year. This is when we felt we could win the Super Bowl and really went for it. So in 2017, obviously, though to me that I don't think it's a crazy super all-star cast, but Carson had help that year, right? Can't say they tried to build around him. They built a team that was good enough to win the Super Bowl around him. 2018, we didn't re-sign LeGarrette Blount. That was a mistake, I believe. We did keep Jay Ajayi, okay, but he was kind of damaged goods by then. He ended up getting hurt. We let Torrey Smith go. He really was kind of at the end of the run. He had bad knees and everything. We grabbed Mike Wallace, if you remember. We also drafted Mac Hollins. Well, Mac Hollins was there the year before. This was the year Mac Hollins got hurt, right? Still had Nelson Aguilar the whole time, right? And everything like that. And I think we may have drafted Dallas Goedert that year, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, Dallas Goedert drafted the year after 2019. Okay. At any rate, that year was lost due to injury to Carson Wentz primarily. Okay, and Alshon Jeffrey being out damn near the beginning of the year. So people make these arguments that, hey, the Eagles, they're getting off to these slow starts. Well, you think Carson Wentz wasn't there. Alshon Jeffrey didn't come to damn near week 4. Jay Ajayi was damaged goods, right? So, of course, they got off to a slow start, right? Then the year after that, following, the slow start came as we put together a team. Many of us thought we were going to go to the Super Bowl. If you remember, the beginning of 2019 season, we were saying that team was better than the 2017 team. We had Alshon Jeffrey brought in Deshaun Jackson, who nobody opposed. Everybody's happy we got Deshaun Jackson. And just imagine the 2017 team having Deshaun Jackson as opposed to Torrey Smith. Come on. Drafted Miles Sanders as the running back, signed Jordan Howard. So nobody can say in 2019, if you're honest, that the Eagles didn't try to give Carson help. You got Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders as your running back. Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz as your tight ends. Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson as your wide receivers. Right? J.J. Whiteside, which was a damn mistake, which I'll get to later, but that's draft and that's Howie. And so on. So the Eagles were trying to build around Carson. What happens? Week 1, we looked pretty good against Washington. Blew them out in the second half. Game 2, leading up to the game against Atlanta Falcons. Right before the damn start of the game. Deshaun Jackson is out. Alshon Jeffrey is out. And Dallas Goedert is out. Do you understand what I'm just saying to you? I don't care who you take. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes leading up to a game is told Sammy Watkins is out, Kelsey is out, and and Tyreek Hill is out. You think you're gonna look exactly the same? You're gonna have the same expectations for the damn Chiefs? Huh, dummy? You're gonna have the same exact expectations? Of course not. Injuries are real, and they happen to the team. Now, you can sit there and be an asshole about it and say, well, I don't want to have, it's no excuse. You know what you sound like? You sound like a baby that's denying the truth. Now, when the season is happening, I understand. This is how I look at the injuries. Let's take this year, for example. While we're going through the season, you're in the war. You still have a chance to make the playoffs. You're counting on your guys. Hey, look here, man. When Lane goes down, hey, look, Jack Driscoll, you got to step up, homie. When Jack Driscoll goes down, hey, Matt Pryor, hey, you got to step up, right? That's the way that goes during the regular season. Deshaun Jackson goes down, okay, Jalen Reagor, you got to step up because we're in the heat of the battle, okay? Once you have been eliminated from the playoffs, people, once you've been eliminated, and now you have to look back at the team and evaluate the team, you can't say injuries are not a valid reason why you're in the conundrum you're in. You have to acknowledge injuries is a valid reason, right? Not to make excuses, but to let you know what you have to do. You have to face up to the truth. Acknowledging that you have injuries does one thing. does a couple of things. One thing is, it shapes the way you draft in the future. So now you start to, hey, I'm gonna move away from guys that have this certain problem, right? Because the history is we had injuries. You change your practices. Hey, look, whatever it is we were doing with the training staff, this and that, maybe we need to fire those guys, get new staff in here, all of that. When you're an actual team, you have to evaluate everything and look at the injuries. And I'm telling you right now, Jeffrey Lurie is looking at that. Jeffrey Lurie's looking at that. All right? So, Doug Peterson is not going to be fired. Just stop it. It's not going to happen. No matter what happens with this game. Now, if he goes out and beats the Redskins, I think that's fireable offense. You don't need to be beating nobody right now. Right? Now, Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman, that whole situation confuses me. I'm trying to understand how this motherfucker keeps a job. Now, for me, the way my mind works and the way my logic works, Howie Roseman has to be keeping a job for one of two reasons. Number one, him and Jeffrey Lurie are just almost lovers or something. I'm just joking. But no, I'm saying, he, not in a gay way or nothing, but he loves him, man. With a friendship that is like just unimaginable, like a brother type of thing, right? Which I don't think that's the reason. The second is, Jeffrey Lurie knows the picks aren't Howie's fault totally. What do I mean by that? Like, it's possible that Jeffrey Lurie could be a Jerry Jones type this time around. And I'm going to tell you why that's probably the case. You got to think back to the Chip Kelly days. Chip Kelly days where Jeffrey Lurie gives Chip Kelly the control of the team, and this is when we have Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin, Shady McCoy, and all of these different guys, and Chip Kelly, once he's given the power, he gets rid of Deshaun Jackson after making playoffs and almost beat New Orleans in game one. He gets rid of Nick Foles and brings in Sam Bradford. Gets rid of Deshaun Jackson. Okay, he gets rid of Shady McCoy for a whack trash linebacker. He lets Jeremy Maclin go. Drafts Nelson Aguilar. This is after Maclin had like an 89 catch season. Okay? He gets rid of Deshaun Jackson after 83 catch, 1,300 yard season. Damn near 10 touchdown season. So I think Jeffrey Lurie was affected by that. Like, that sitting there as an owner and letting the coach just do whatever he wants, or the general manager do whatever he wants, at least to you get fucked up, because sometimes the coach can make decisions, personal decisions. It might not have anything to do with football. You don't assume that every move a coach makes is in the best interest of the team. I don't assume that. Not that shit Chip Kelly was doing. He was thinking about his damn self. All right? And I think that's what happened with Jeffrey Lurie. He said, no, I got to start getting more involved. So now it might be to the point where he's getting too involved. Because just think about it. If Howie Roseman was just making these moves without Jeffrey Lurie okaying it, or not getting guys at Jeffrey, or without it being secretly Jeffrey Lurie being the guys that they wanted to get, like Whiteside instead of DK and Metcalf instead of McLaurin and all these type of guys, right? If Jeffrey Lurie has nothing to do with it, then he'll fire this dude quick. He'll be like, dude, you keep messing up. How the hell you ain't get this guy, and ain't get this guy, and ain't get that guy? He would be firing him. You know what it is Jeffrey Lurie is probably the one that really wanted those guys. Right? That's probably what's happening here. So, what we got to change now is either Jeffrey Lurie got to start to not go off of his own eye test or opinion. Maybe they need to start drafting more ACC players and leave them damn Big 12 players alone and Pac-12 and all that bull crap they're into. It's something I heard that Howie Roseman never drafted a player from Alabama. That's crazy. Directly from Alabama. Jalen Hurts technically went to Alabama, but a guy in Alabama Crimson Tide. How the hell is Alabama the team that has dominated college football for the last 10 or so years, and you mean to tell me this motherfucker ain't never drafted nobody from Alabama? What kind of sense do that make? What kind of sense does that make? Howie Roseman, boy. Howie should be fired. But the reason he won't be fired is because half of this shit's probably not his fault. It's probably Jeffrey Lurie. Yeah, so Jeffrey has to soul search and that. But I'll tell you what, I think everybody's on the clock this season. Doug Peterson, Howie Roseman, all of them. I think they're on the clock this year. I don't see Howie getting rid of a guy after one season where he didn't make the playoffs. You know what I mean? He's not going to do that. So might as well just cut that out. That ain't going to happen. But most of the people that want to get rid of Doug like that, they're just Carson people who deep down ultimately they're about Carson Wentz, and they feel as though Doug Peterson destroyed him. I guess he destroyed him after creating him, because really, Carson has never been great without Doug. He's never been in anything without him, right? So that kind of boggles my mind too, how Doug Peterson is responsible for the way he played. Like, really? So, yeah. That's kind of like what I got for that. This is way longer than my normal videos, man. I'm on my way to go handle some business. So, like, man, just let me know how you felt about these thoughts, man, these ideas, some feedback, what you think. And I'll see you cats, man, later, next time.